Hello, I'm Scott Smith. I'm the Communications Officer for the ABC Unified School District. And this week is a very special week because it is School Social Worker Week. And we have a great program here at ABC. And to talk about it today, I have some of our mental health professionals from across the district. I can't even speak this morning. We have wonderful people here with us that help our students each and every day. And I have Tina Porter, our district social worker, on the line here too. Hi, Tina.
Good morning, Scott. Good morning, everyone. Welcome.
So Tina, maybe you could start off by just introducing yourself and talking a little bit about your role, and then we'll start in with some questions about our school social workers, mental health professionals.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Scott. So my name's Tina Porter, and I'm the district social worker here at ABC. I work really closely with our school social workers, mental health professionals out there, some of whom are with us today. So a little bit about the program. School social workers are mental health professionals. They're all qualified specialists with master's degrees in social work, marriage and family therapy, or a related field, but fundamentally school social workers out there at our school sites every day. And we have 33 of them at all of our schools, including 2 at our comprehensive high schools and 1 at our elementary and middle schools. So they're joining us today, and collectively they bring a special knowledge base to the work that we do at our school sites and a perspective to education that is whole child centered. So the work that they do out at our school sites is really fundamentally based on helping students succeed academically by taking care of their socio-emotional needs. And of course, that includes their mental health care needs as well. So a lot of things that they do out there, including universal interventions that affect every single child on campus, so from classroom push-ins to campus-wide initiatives to talking about mental health issues, these are available to every single one of our students. And then there are students who have, necessarily they're struggling a little bit or they're not thriving in the classroom, and they target those students for more general interventions that might be a one-on-one or might be a small group. And of course, they're also there for our students who are really struggling. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, everything that's going on out there, there's been a lot of stress, not just on our staff and teachers and mental health professionals, but certainly on our students and families. All right, so sometimes these spill over into what can be quite a high need of intervention to make sure that our students are safe and they have an inclusive environment, and they share with everybody there, their expertise on helping students navigate some of those more intense challenges.
So I appreciate that. So let's bring everybody else into the conversation here, and maybe you could talk about your role. What do you see your role as a mental health professional here in ABC, and what are some of the things that you see that you feel like you can make an impact with?
I can start us off.
Sure.
So for me, I feel like my role at FEDI, since I'm the mental health professional at FEDI, is really about making connections, not just with the students, but also with the community, with the parents. Growing up in Hawaiian Gardens, I know that there is a stigma with mental health at times. And so I think it's been sometimes a challenge for parents to understand the needs of their children when it comes to mental health. But having a social worker here on campus has made it easier because we don't have this role of discipline, right? ABC has done such a great job of making sure that our role is not discipline at all. We're just here to support. Even when we do home visits, it's all about support. It's not about, why is your child not at school? It's what can we do to make sure that we're doing everything, in our power to support you so that your child can come to school. So it's really a partnership. That's what I see my role as. And I have to really brag about my admin team because they've made my role so much easier. They've made the transition to being a mental health professional really easy. It's really clear with the teachers what I do. It's really clear with the students what I do. Students know where to find me. They know how to email me. They know how to get in contact with me, and they know what I do That's kind of what I see my role as a partnership and just as a way to make connections between all of us here.
Very good. Who else would like to weigh in on this, what your role is and your impact? Go ahead, Christina.
So similar to Maite, I think my role is very supportive as well, and my staff and admin have been such an important part in allowing me to do what I do. And I'm very lucky because my role is very clear at the school, is really to support students' emotional health. And what I love about being permanent at the school is that I'm able to develop those relationships with students over the years. So seeing how they talk about their own mental health and how that's changed over the past few years is really incredible to see. And being able to develop a language that we use school-wide, which is why I love Tier 1 interventions so much, so the classroom push-ins, because everybody gains that vocabulary and that way of speaking about mental health. And so it really helps get rid of that stigma, which I think, has been there for so long in so many communities, and something we still do struggle with sometimes. But I think being able to talk about it more freely and especially during the pandemic, being able to share, like, I struggle with these things too, and being able to normalize a lot of those emotions and experiences, I think has really helped bring a lot of us together, even though there's that physical separation.
Well, that's kind of a good segue into our next question, which is, over the past year, things have been a little different for our students and families. What have you seen? What challenges are you facing in reaching out to our students?
I'll go ahead and start if that's okay.
Great, please.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about how different our role has been transitioned into this year. Since we left exactly 1 year ago, like you said. So this past year, we have I'm at Carver Academy. So that's TK through 6. It's an elementary school. And at Carver this year, I have been focusing a lot on push-ins, like Christina just previously talked about. So each month, we do have a monthly mental health theme each month. And so I go into the classrooms and we talk about coping skills, or we talk about any type of social emotional needs the students are having. And I think that's been really different for me. Previously, I focused a lot on one-on-ones or small groups. I'm still doing those, but we have really been focusing a lot on the need for the entire school, because as Tina discussed, a lot of students are struggling with this pandemic, and we want to be there to help them and support them in any way that we can. So for me, that's been the biggest transition throughout the pandemic, is really just focusing on the need of the entire school and making sure that everyone is doing the best that they can.
Hi, I'm Marina Clark, and I'm at Tetzoff Middle School. Just like what Kara said, I also really have enjoyed our Tier 1 interventions. It's one of the bright spots, I think, in a very different way of doing our job this year. For example, I'm able to meet with every single student on my campus through their classroom once a week. And at my school, that's through their PE classes. And something that's been really great is that we had an in-person picture day. And one of my favorite memories from the whole year is that even 6 weeks into school, I think we were, every single 7th grader saw me, even with my mask on. They recognized who I was. And they all said hello to me, and I had these great conversations with the students as they were so very socially distantly passing by to take their photographs. And that's not something that we always have in a school with 760 students. Not every single 7th grader used to know my name before, despite my presence on campus during breaks and lunch. So that's been something that's been a really great aspect to this year. And I would say something that's, of course, been very challenging is this idea that someone passed on to me years ago, that it's very difficult for people to get through trauma while they're experiencing trauma. And so we have to address a lot of issues with these students with regard to social isolation and a lot of other things that are happening. And we have to address how to cope while it has a prolonged continuation, which has been difficult and a great learning experience for everyone, and really stretches our ability to understand students and their coping style, as well as having us stretch our services to be able to meet those needs for the students.
Very good. So what's worked best in kind of bridging that? Is it just being more visible through your classrooms? Is it the push-ins, or is it something more?
I think it's different for every school. Every school culture is different, and each population, despite the fact that we are one district, we touch on so many different, I would call them maybe micro neighborhoods and, cities, of course, where we span different cities. I think one of the things that is amazing is that, especially over the past 10 years, students who maybe started as kindergarteners 10 years ago have had a consistent presence of these mental health professionals on their campus. And the number of times I've heard parents tell me, oh, I'm not sure how my student will feel about meeting with you, even though I think they should. They're a bit resistant to the idea of mental health. As soon as they say, oh, you mean Miss Clark? Oh, yeah, no, I know her. That's fine. I'd love to talk to her. And they don't associate us with that long-standing stigma because we are familiar and we have been a constant in their lives. And I can reference, because we have such a tightly knit community of social workers, I can reference Christina Pereira at Bragg, and I can say, oh, I know, Miss Christina, and reference what she does and the work that she does there. And then they also feel a little bit more comfortable, I believe, because of that connection that we have. And it's almost a shared experience. Oh, you know what it's like at Bragg. You know who the person over there is. And I think that helps establish that initial connection, which of course makes the rest of the work so much easier, because once you have that initial connection, you can dive deep into the unique things that are at the core of that student and what special combination of tools in our mental health toolbox are going to help them create the perfect recipe to address their individual needs.
Very good. So really, you're kind of changing this perception of what mental health is for this next generation. I mean, what you're doing is going to have a long-lasting impact on breaking down what you were talking about, those stigmas. In every neighborhood, in every community, that's pretty big. That's a pretty big deal. So it's pretty stressful right now. We've all been home for a year, and we've all been looking at each other in this 2D environment on a screen somewhere. What kind of tips can you give to our families, our students, about how to best take care of themselves during this time, and especially now that we're maybe looking at having some kids come back to our campuses? Do you have any thoughts about that?
I know we've been supporting our students, and it has been quite a bit different and challenging. But I would say for me, the one big difference is supporting through the families, like the workshops, the monthly themes that we've been doing. I know they have been virtual, but I think it's so important to really support the parents, because that's who the kids are with right now. Most of the time, most of their day. And so I feel that by supporting the parent, you're creating that strength, that home, that environment where the student is going to thrive in their environment. And so I think that's why it's very important to kind of, through these workshops, I know there's various themes, but through these workshops, we're able to provide a lot of strategy, support, and knowledge. And underlying that, even kind of addressing the stigma. Like, it's okay to not know. You're a parent, but it's okay to not know. And that's why we're here for you. We're not a punitive support. We're here to help you through it. We're all going through this stress together. And, some things might work one day and they might not work the next, but that's okay. And, just being that model for your child of like, you know what, I need a little bit of time. And or you know what, I want to go for a walk, or I want to watch my favorite show, that makes me laugh. Just talking to them about it's okay to show your child what you do to cope, because then they learn that it's okay to practice coping skills, whether that, even if it's coloring, some of them painting, like just sitting together, going outside, just different things, watering the plants. You know, I know some students that have started to like garden with their grandparents. And so just different things of like, it's okay to, you know, socialize and within your family and to learn something new, although you may think you know everything. We don't. Let's just take the time to just ask a question.
I was just going to say, Scott, that I think one of the unique qualities of school social workers is that they really do operate as the link between families, the school, and the community. And some of the stories that we've heard today, you know, really do stress that importance, you know, of being there for our families. It's kind of like our principals know all of the families, you know, that are there at their school. And now that we have these allies, you know, out there for everyone, you know, and speaking to parents and being consistent in doing that. So we're moving next month into Stress Less this spring. All right, so it's just one of the examples, I think, of how our school social workers are able to really focus on, as Esmeralda was saying, you know, yeah, there's a ton of stress out there. You know, we get it. Let's talk about it, right? And here are some strategies. And maybe they will not work for you, but we'll keep coming up with, you know, different conversations that acknowledge and validate, you know, what our families are going through, and know that their schools are here to support them and help their kids thrive. So I'm, you know, super proud of the child-centered approach that our school social workers have, you know, but also that it just doesn't stop there. I mean, a lot of the work that they're doing is these conversations with parents, you know, so that we partner with them, parents and caregivers and the school and the students. And somehow it seems to work.
Well, it does work because you are having an impact. And I know you love what you do. I appreciate the time you've given me this morning. It's important for our community, our school community, to understand what our school social workers, our mental health professionals are doing for our, not just students, but our families too. So we appreciate you. It's School Social Worker Week. So thank you on behalf of the district.
Thank you. Scott, before you head out, I wanted to end just with one last statement.
Yes, please.
I think that sometimes it's, you know, people just think, oh, it's counseling or these push-ins or things like that. But I, without a shadow of a doubt, know that ABC has saved lives with our counseling. Without a shadow of a doubt, I have students who have said, if not for you, if not for someone reaching out, I wouldn't be here. So this is necessary. Social workers are essential. And I'm so proud that ABC, the district that I attended growing up, decided that, you know, this is something that they wanted to spend effort in.
Well, I can't think of a better way to end our conversation today. So again, thank you for all you do. And we will see you soon.